Okay, so here's Bremer Bay, this one here, and the town of Bremer Bay is just in here. So that the Orca boats come out to the canyon out here. Now I think on this, the Orca hotspot, it sits on top of that shelf just there.
Right.
So that's the aggregation, the hotspot they call it, I think is there. And there's a new Commonwealth Marine Park, that Marine Reserve, Marine Park they call it, that is comes into the 6 kilometre or 3 nautical mile state waters that go out 3 nautical miles. So it starts at that boundary, comes out from just a little bit out of Hopetown, comes down here like this, and it goes this funny shape, but it doesn't quite cover that hotspot's outside it, and that's being dealt with by Canberra at the moment. Apparently they're going to put another extension or a new national park, new marine park over that, but it does cover some of the canyons because that's what the proposition was to do, but it doesn't cover all of it, simply because there was some petroleum leases over some of it that they didn't want to. They don't exist anymore, they've been relinquished. So we've got this remarkable hotspot situation here, and then Marine Park not covering it properly.
And so the former shoreline of 12,000 years ago was where?
Somewhere, well, it was certainly off the edge of the shelf, but where to, I don't know.
And we can tell that because we can see the erosion.
You can see the erosion lines,
the streams.
The streams where they flowed out and flowed down and became one. So it was probably the fossil. Probably the Phillips River flowed down here. I'm assuming here the Gardner, which flows out there, would have come in here, and the Bremer River.
Wow.
Perhaps the Palinut, which comes out just there, might have come across that far. I don't know.
Wow.
Down in here. So the current river systems on the Jurda Cut-Up probably might have been that one. Or it might have been the Oldfield, which is there. Who knows? But anyway, these river systems came out, and there was obviously a lot of water movement given the size of the canyon.
Massive. You see the same thing off Perth as well.
The Perth Canyon behind Rottnest. So, and these other ones here. So,
and given it was only 12,000 years ago, the plant communities would be relatively
would have been
similar.
relatively similar. Well, there's a fine question. I mean, we could assume that, given that they're very old lineages, they must have been pretty similar. There is some strange questions in it, like there's a lot of the limestone communities, limestone plant communities that are on the coastal limestones. Now, certainly on this white stuff you can see prominently over here. There's a thing there called Eucalyptus calcicola, subspecies unita, that is on those calcareous, on the limestones. And there's a couple of other species there as well. What was going on there? Did they just, because those limestones are recent. Well, how did they get there? Where were they before? I don't know. There's a lot of questions in it.
So given that the indigenous were here, it's believed from 60,000, maybe even more, they would have seen all of this happen.
They would have been influenced by it. No, just on that though, it would have happened. They were here 60,000 years ago. It happened 53,000 years after that. Well, that's when the estuaries formed, say 7,000 years ago. So the last big movement in sea level rise occurred stopped happening about 7,000 years ago, which is when the current shorelines, the water got to where the shorelines are now, and the estuaries formed where they are now.
Quite quickly when it happened.
Pretty quickly.
Wow.
Yeah. So from the last glacial maximum, what's that, 12 to 18,000 years ago, to 7,000 is really quick in geological terms. Yeah. And the blackfellas had been here for 53,000 years when the estuaries formed.
Wow.
And we were 6,300 years away from turning up. 6,800 years away from appearing on the scene. That's pretty profound, I think. So they've dealt with it before. So the canyons out straight out south of here. The question about what was going on for the rivers to form that. Like how far out and down was that ocean, or those oceans up and down during the Eocene, and subsequently during the last glacial maximum, which is not that long ago, what, 12 to 18,000 years ago, I think, pretty recent. And then what was going on out in front of here when this was land? What was the vegetation on it? And given the oddful thing about some octal plants not being able to colonise very easily or move, not being very dispersal, and the oddful plants being quite dispersal, with that relatively rapid movement of ocean, what was colonising? What was the flora in front of us here out when it was land?
And the idea is that there's been 14 ice ages, back and forth with the sea level rising and falling. So, and what were the similarities and differences between each glacial event with the plants that were colonising? What was this we see in front of us now?
That would have been fascinating to see. Oh, there's probably evidence out there, but it's just expensive to get about on the seafloor and the fossil record down in underneath there. What would have been the dominant flora most recently? Good to find out. Would help us understand the stuff here better.
Yeah, I wonder if there's certain modifications that happened out there during the glacial periods, adaptations that the plants then brought back. Who knows? You can never know. But it's just an interesting idea that maybe some of the adaptations happened. What is that?
That is a fire. That is a fire at Lake Shasta by the look. That is a prescribed burn, I would expect. It's a big fire being lit. Looks like around Lake Shasta or Munglanup way over there.
That's massive.
It is massive, yeah.